I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and we each teach a lesson we can't teach at school. And happy motherfucking 1 year anniversary to us.
We made it.
We made it. Can you believe it?
I
can't. This is the longest time I've stuck with one thing.
We found a podcast in a hopeless place.
For real. It's gotten us through quarantine.
It has. It's been like the highlight of literally this past year. It's been really, really tough, and we've been so privileged to be able to like have a job and stay home when we needed to. But this podcast has just been, oh God, what a gem.
It truly, like I can't overstate this enough. It's been the light of my life and the best time ever. Like I'm beyond grateful.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
It's normalized drinking wine for me.
It's normalized drinking wine for you. What?
Yeah, like it gives me a reason to drink wine.
You don't need a reason to drink wine.
Not just because in quarantine, sometimes you just wanted to drink, but like,
it makes it an event. Instead of going out and socializing and drinking, we have this and we socialize with each other.
It's been a perfect substitute.
Yes, it really has. I can't believe we made it a year. It also doesn't feel like it's been a year.
Yeah,
and we have 53 fucking episodes plus all the bonus episodes plus all the Patreon episodes.
I know.
Crazy.
Can you imagine if we actually could remember all the facts and stuff that we've learned along the way?
No, but also like I feel like I've retained enough.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I've like dipped my toes in a little bit of everything and I could talk about it to someone, but it's like, we research so much each week and get the ins and outs, and then we kind of filter through like what we want the lesson to include. Yeah. And it's a lot of information on something new every single week.
Totally. But I feel like if you like told me, you're like, okay, talk about what's something you did for me, not for me, but like a topic, talk about sleep paralysis. And I'd be able to tell you like a little bit because I was there for the lesson.
Yeah, agreed. I could tell you about the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
So I got references. Actually, since you taught that lesson, I've gotten several references now from that.
To the Brothers Grimm?
Yes.
Why? Why are you talking about that?
I wasn't talking about it. It was it was on a TV show, and then it was on another podcast. They made a joke like, oh yeah, I could write for the Brothers Grimm maybe, like talking about how dark they were. Just stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. Help you get the references. Yeah, you helped me get that reference from Gilmore Girls. What?
Oh, yeah. What's her name?
Claudine Longet.
Claudine Longet, yeah. I was watching Gilmore Girls and I was like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio where he's pointing at the TV.
Yeah, I feel like they're so, like, watching Gilmore Girls, I feel like I don't understand at least 10% of it.
Because their jokes just fly out of their mouths so fast.
Quick. Yeah. I don't know who wrote that show, but they did a phenomenal job.
An amazing job. That's where I got my vestigial organs lesson. What's her face?
Rory or Lorelai?
Lorelai made some joke about a vestigial organ. I was like, that'd be a good night classy topic. And here we are.
That show could fuel us for years, I'm sure.
It does. I've gotten several things from them, I'm sure. But yeah, man, it's been a wild ride. Things have happened.
Things have happened, and they're going to continue happening. I also just want to shout out everyone listening right now or who has ever listened, supported us, reviewed us, all of our awesome Night Classy like family. It really feels like.
Truly. Yeah, the highlight of this has really been building this community. Like I've been DMing with like several of our friends today that we made through this podcast, like other podcasters and just like beautiful gems of human beings and all our listeners. And we had a chance to meet one of our listeners, Dicey, the other day and talk to her. And God, it's just been like, you guys are absolutely incredible. And like, it makes me like almost choke up and want to cry because it's just been so awesome talking to all of you and doing this thing.
Oh God, ditto. Don't make me cry too.
I know, I'm tearing up, but truly we're really grateful for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, maybe I'm crying because I'm drunk. What did we already drink a whole bottle of, Hayley?
Okay, this one is really easy to pronounce. We were joking about it earlier. It is Josh. Thank God it was easy
Finally.
this week. And let me tell you, Josh is good.
Josh is he's smooth. He makes a good bubbly.
Yeah. I can down Josh pretty easy.
Put that Josh right down my throat.
He's a Prosecco DOC Rosé. What does DOC stand for? Department
Dick off.
Dick off what?
Cool.
Dick off cool or dick of cool?
Dick of cool. I don't know.
Sounds like
I'm
one
sorry.
of those, like, you know how like Frank's Red Hot is like, their thing is like, we put that bleep on everything.
Yeah.
It sounds like something like there would be a dill pickle, like, but not. Dill? I don't know. Yeah, for some reason I thought dill and dick. Never mind.
Dill of champions.
Yeah,
Dick of champions.
Drink of champions.
I think we got it.
I think so too.
Nailed it.
Daddy of champions.
Josh is a daddy name.
It is.
And this is a daddy of a Prosecco. This was fucking good.
This Prosecco knows what it's doing.
It was like we normally have like a few sips of wine before we start, but we finished the bottle just because it was so delicious.
Right. And let us go back to the rosé part of this situation.
Yeah. It's pink.
Are we changing? Are we growing?
Maybe. I said before this episode started, I might be a rosé person now just because of this Prosecco. It is so delicious. And so shout out to High Point Grocery for giving us this wine, putting it on our list, recommending it because this one slaps.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just really feel like they're converting us and helping educate us on wines and things.
Yeah.
And it's always so pleasant to go in there. We posted a picture in High Point Grocery and somebody commented something like, oh my gosh, that is really nice. Like it's like hardwood flooring or like laminate hardwood or something.
Yeah.
It just like, it feels good to go in there.
Yeah, it's like a cozy neighborhood grocery store and everyone's nice and they have a bomb-ass alcohol selection, local beers, awesome wines. So if you're in Memphis, definitely check them out. It's located at 469 High Point Terrace in East Memphis. They're awesome.
So if you do stop by High Point or wherever you are going to get your Josh Prosecco, it is $15.99, so you're going to get a good bang for your buck. You'll probably want to get 2 or 3 because, like we said, this is really freaking good.
Yeah, it's like drinking like a delicious soda.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's not even too bubbly for me. Like, I don't really like bubbly things, but it's the perfect amount of bubble.
Yeah, it's not too bubbly and like it doesn't read as sweet, but it's just like very smooth and like a little bit of sweet. And it's not super like, I feel like sometimes champagnes are like sparkling rosés are sometimes sour and it's not sour at all.
This is definitely the rosé for red wine lovers.
Yeah, I agree. It's just refreshing and delicious. So thanks, High Point.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Well, we have a shit ton to get to. This is about to be the longest episode of our lives, which I'm excited for. I want to be here all night.
If you're not going on a road trip, then you should be.
Yeah, go on a road trip. First, I do want to say that we almost made it a year without one of my students finding this podcast.
So close.
We came so close. One of my much beloved baby angels followed Night Classy on Instagram, and I immediately blocked him. If you're listening to this, I'm very sorry. It's nothing personal. I need to keep my social media separate from my students. But I mean, there's nothing stopping you from listening. So welcome. And I mean, if anyone was going to find it, I'm glad it was this child because he's very, very sweet.
What if he like raised his hand and he was like, yeah, Miss Hofer Science. I mean, Barnhart.
Oh my gosh. Today he like was kind of winking at it. He came into class and he looked at me and he's like, Miss Barnhart, I really want to start like a YouTube channel or a podcast.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Like, well, I don't know anything about YouTube, but I could help you with the podcast.
Wow.
So shout out to that student.
If you know, you know, I
If
guess.
you know, you know. Also, one more thing. I asked him what he was doing this weekend, and he's building a house for the stray cat that lives in his apartment, which is precious.
My
Yeah.
God.
So he belongs here.
Definitely. Give it like 10 years and we can have him on.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. Wow, that's crazy.
yeah.
I think that it'll be like 10 years before your students are of age.
They'll be of age in not 10 years.
9. Because they're like 10 years old, right?
10, 11, and 12. So
Okay.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
It'll be a while. They're pretty young. Every time I see like one of their birthdays and it's like 2006, I'm like, ooh, not even 2006. It's like 2008 to 2010.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really throwing up in my mouth now.
I know. It's crazy. Like I thought it was fake when I first saw it.
Did you fake your social security
Right.
card? No, I mean, fuck, your social doesn't even have your birthday on it, does it?
And I don't see their social security cards.
Oh, I do for preschool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't see any of that kind of stuff, but I do see their birthdays. So shout out to my students.
Don't ruin this.
Please
for
don't
us.
ruin this for me. This is my safe space. And you're welcome to silently follow along.
Yes.
Silently.
For the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, that was that. I think we should get to our survey.
Yeah, I think we should too.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes. So as I'm sure most of you who are listening to this know, we've been asking you all to fill out a survey. The main part of the survey was voting on the lesson topics you wanted for this episode. And you all did a great job because you chose the 2 that I wanted. So thank you for that. We also just asked if you had any questions for us or any comments that you wanted us to share on the air. And we got a lot of participation, so thank you so much. We won't be able to get to everything, but we're going to do our best to get to most things. So the first question I have here is, how did you get into teaching? How long have you been teaching? And how did you get to Memphis? Do you want to start?
Okay, yeah. So my minor in college at the University of Cincinnati, go Cats, I don't really know anything about sports, but that felt appropriate, was early childhood education. I thought about being a preschool teacher, but then I wanted to be like a marriage and family therapist. And it was just, I just had no idea really like was the one thing that I wanted to do. And I think that was just a mindset shift that I needed to make, where it's like, you don't have to do just one thing. Like this can be a first step, because I've always loved kids. I babysat from like, I was in 6th grade when someone first trusted me with their children and I nailed that shit. I have been teaching for almost 2 years now. So we have about a quarter and a half left until we've both reached our 2-year mark. And we got to Memphis because of a teacher program, Teach for America. We applied for it. Kat and I both did. And you know, Teach for America is all across the nation, and you get to kind of pick like your top 10 cities that you are interested in. And I've always loved Tennessee. I'd never been to the east side of Tennessee, and Memphis looked really interesting. And I wanted a challenge. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and grow. And Memphis seemed like a good opportunity for that.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, almost the same for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I thought I might want to be a teacher, but I didn't want to like commit to it enough to major in education. So I majored in history, and I was like, okay, like I could be a history teacher if I really want to. And then I was like thinking about applying to like go to grad school for teaching, but then I ended up applying for this program where the license you to be a teacher without having to go to grad school. And so that was pretty awesome to get into that and skip that other step.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just really throwing you into the fire, really.
Yeah.
Because you just start teaching, and I feel like there are definitely some things obviously grad school can teach you, but also that like just doing it teaches you.
Yeah. I mean, I can both have their pluses and minuses, I suppose, but it worked out well for me. And yeah, that also brought me to Memphis. I put Memphis down as my top choice actually for cities because I had never been here and I really wanted a new adventure, and I had heard good things, and it's been wonderful. I'm so glad that I ended up here.
I'm glad you did too.
Me too.
Fate, man.
I know. It really was fate. Like I just had a feeling. I've never been to Tennessee, but I have a feeling this is the place. Also, somebody I knew lived here and told me it was great, so that helped.
It is great, and it's nothing like I expected it to be. Like, I thought Tennessee, I'm going to the South. Like, I brought my cowboy boots.
Same.
So
I
excited.
Literally bought cowboy boots, and that's not the vibe.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
You literally just need to drive about 1 hour, and then you're in like cowboy zone.
Yeah,
but
this is not cowboy zone. This is the opposite of that.
Yeah,
it's great. We love it. Next question. Who do you love more, your cat or your boyfriend? That's a hard one.
I know. I glanced at this beforehand. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to say?
I think it's different kinds of love. I think one you love like your child and the other you love like your boyfriend.
Exactly. Like I know who I'm going to save in a fire.
Right. I mean, easy. One is helpless and the other one can save his own ass.
Exactly. One has lived a life. The other one is a little baby.
Yeah, just a little baby. You
want
to do one?
Does that answer your question? Next question is, do you know if I'm one of your only underage listeners?
We have a lot of those. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm glad in a way.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I feel like sometimes we lose touch on what we were doing when we were underage.
True. I mean, yeah, I was listening to things way more inappropriate than this. And also I think that the person who wrote this in is like in like high school or college. So they don't really count. I feel like mature enough.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You need to know these things that we talk about.
Right. This is education. Also, I'm glad we're still cool with the youths. Also, I was thinking about it the other day. Like we have like listeners who are in like their 50s and 60s and listeners who are like in middle school. So it's like a fun.
We're freaking relatable.
Yeah, we're so relatable. Oh my God. It's crazy.
It is crazy. We're just tooting our own horns over here. I don't give a crap.
This episode is for tooting our own horns and for tooting our listeners' horns.
We're going to toot all the horns.
Yes. I'm going to skip ahead a few and read this next one. It says, take a shot every 20 minutes for the anniversary episode LMFAO.
Obviously, whoever sent this in wanted us to die. I think this is a death threat.
Yeah, I think that it is absolutely a death threat and a hello 911. I'm calling the police because that is not okay because this episode is about to last like 100,000 minutes and we would be dead.
Yeah, so thanks for that. No, I'm just kidding. But that would be really funny. Maybe one day we'll do something like that.
Yeah,
but
maybe like a Patreon episode we can get super drunk. But the problem with getting super drunk is that means super amounts of editing for Alec.
Right.
And this is already about to be a long episode. So we're going to try to, and we already drank a whole bottle of prosecco and we're about to move on to another. So
I don't feel crazy. Yeah, we should open that before we start the lessons.
We should. Good idea. But no thanks. Yeah.
How about you take a shot every time?
That's an idea. And actually, speaking of that, I have in my notes to talk about our friend Abby over at Queers for Fears podcast made a drinking game for night classy.
Yes.
And this feels like a good time to share it.
Yeah. Damn it. This week I was going to make it into like a cute little poster, but then life happened.
Yeah, so I definitely want to make it into a graphic and like post it on our grid because it's incredible. Thank you so much, Abby. But I'm just going to read it to you guys if you want to take a shot along with this episode.
Or just a drink. Don't take a shot every time.
Yeah, be careful. We don't want to send anyone to the hospital because...
How about you drink water every time? How about that? Hydrate.
How about you alternate?
Alternate.
Or make yourself a stiff mixed drink, but then let the ice cubes melt a little bit because then it's like you're drinking water.
Oh my! Don't. That is propaganda.
That's the strategy you need to have. You need to order a tall glass, but like don't ask for extra alcohol. Just ask for extra ice. And then you get to drink it longer and you're hydrating yourself.
That is drunk girl
this
logic.
Goes out to our underage listeners. Just kidding.
If this makes sense to you, then you're wrong.
Also, yeah, that was wrong because you should order a double.
Yeah, double.
And extra ice.
No ice.
Order a mixed drink in a pint glass. Okay, I'm going to read this really fast. 1, you hear the word wine. 2, Alec laughs. 3, Kat, Hayley, or Alec say that we need to move on from a tangent.
Wow.
Already done. Alec gave me the finger wave telling me to move on. 4, teaching/students are mentioned. There's already been a few of those. 5, Kat or Hayley says, I'm drunk. Already a few of those. You guys need to be catching up. 6, a gift is given or mentioned. We gave Alec a gift today for helping us out and editing and recording us for a year. We bought him a gift.
Can you tell what our love languages are?
Right. We enjoy gifts. 7, you hear the word Patreon. That's coming. 8, Kat or Hayley make a prediction. Drink 1 time for incorrect, 2 times for correct.
Okay, so basically, if you're listening and you played by those rules, you should be feeling at least tipsy right now.
Especially because like you just had to slam like 10 drinks to catch up.
Yeah.
It all hit you at once.
That's freaking amazing. Thank you so much, Abby. And I love that because it's so accurate. Like,
she nailed it.
Get us.
She truly gets us. And we were talking about this in the car, but hopefully we'll get to meet Abby in person sometime soon. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
If not soon, then definitely eventually.
Yes.
Okay, next question here. If you want to elaborate on this anymore, but someone asked, I'm sure it's been mentioned, especially in the beginning, but could you touch on what made you want to be a teacher? I remember that you both participated in TFA, but I see kids and I want to run in fear. What made you want to take on the little heathens with a smiling sweat face?
I mean, I like kids. I think they're hilarious and awesome. So they can be heathens.
Yeah, they definitely can be. We've all been heathens at one point or another. I don't know. Yeah, they're just fun. I learn a lot from my kids every day.
Yeah. I think they're fun. And like really, really funny. Middle schoolers they're like really fucking mean, and that's what I love about them.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok today. It was a teacher in New York, and he was like, you want honesty? Teach preschool in the Bronx.
Yeah.
That'll give you honesty. And
for sure. And you teach preschool in Memphis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I have one student who every day he asks me, why are we doing this? Why are we in school? And I know you know which student this is.
Oh, I know.
He's notorious.
He is a king and I love him.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We're going to skip quite a few of these, but would you rather have a blowhole or gills? I feel like the answer says a lot about a person. So that's what I ask when meeting new people. I know my answer for this one. Do you know yours?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
What's yours?
I think I would rather have gills because I've always dreamed of being a mermaid, and I think that would help me achieve my mermaid dreams.
Absolutely. I would 100. If it's a 2-for-1 situation, like I can keep my lungs and have gills.
Yeah.
Absolutely gills, because a blowhole, like you basically you're still breathing oxygen. You don't get any special powers. Whereas gills, I can stay underwater as long as I want.
Like probably, okay, breathing would come second with the blowhole for me, but the first thing is that I would like scare the shit out of fishermen. That's what I would do with my blowhole.
Oh, okay.
They'd be like, ah, and I'd be like, it's me.
You just spray them.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying gills all the way.
Yeah, I'm hardcore gills.
Like, I thought I could breathe underwater when I was younger.
Did you die?
I didn't die. My dad was a swimmer. He like shaved his whole body in high school. He was like a legit swimmer, and he taught swim lessons, and I knew how to swim at 2 years old. Not to brag, but I did. And so I would like swim laps and see how long I could hold my breath for, and it was like, I'm a fucking mermaid.
I wish. I'd love to be a mermaid.
So sad, too bad.
I think everyone does.
Oh, this is a good last question. Since you're always drinking for the podcast, what are your favorite hangover cures?
Oh, I have a whole routine.
Pedialyte, 100%.
I drank some today in preparation. That's how you know you're getting old.
Right. It's about the preparation, and it's pre and post.
Yes. While you're getting ready for the night, you drink a Gatorade. You take a Tylenol and a vitamin preemptively. Make sure you have something to eat. Then drink until your heart's content. You got to make sure you fall asleep with ice water by your bed in a hydro flask to make sure that it's cold when you wake up hungover and you have cold water to drink.
Yep.
Then you wake up, you stay in bed, you drink water and you drink Gatorade. You take another Tylenol, another vitamin, and I eat mac and cheese. That's my hangover food.
I'd say keep your room dark if you can.
Yeah.
Draw those curtains, make it dark, because you don't want to be woken up before your body says it's time to wake up when you're hungover.
Yeah.
That's a no-no. Chipotle for me is always a great...
Really?
Yeah, like the day I'm hungover, like for lunch or something, I've thrown up Chipotle before.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. You don't want to.
No.
You want to throw up mac and cheese and Gatorade. You don't want to throw up Chipotle.
It's been a long time, knock on wood, since I've thrown up from drinking, and I've thrown up Chipotle, but the day after, Chipotle can like really do it for me.
Man, Chipotle makes me sick every time without fail. I don't know what it is. I'll never stop eating it. That will not stop me, but it does make me sick.
Oh my God. The other day, Tommy and I went to Chipotle and I got sofritas on it. We were going to split the bowl. And then we got all the way home and he just let me get whatever I wanted on it. And we got home and I realized that he like soy fucks him up. Like his day is ruined. So I was like, oh no, I get the whole bowl to myself.
I thought you were going to say he ate it and like shit his pants. I was really excited.
No, that would have been disastrous. Like he's out for literally days.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he has some weird allergies happening.
I know.
Yeah.
I convinced him to start keeping a food journal to track it. And then I think he's going to get one of those food allergy kits. So
that's good.
Yeah. But anyway, enough about that. Shall we move on?
Yes. Let's just read a few of these comments. The first one, in all caps, mind you, says, release the recorded first date. The people need to know. So if you're new here, Alec and I, the producer of this podcast, are on our first date. I met him here at Parasaur and we like said hi, sat down in front of the microphones and then recorded our first date in the studio.
I need to know. I don't even know.
I don't even know because Alec said we should release it on Patreon. And I was like, well, I have to listen to it first. And I don't think I can handle how uncomfortable that will make me.
Let me listen to it, please.
No.
I put it in the Dropbox.
Okay. Fuck yeah.
I don't think I can.
Okay. Well, let me and then let the people listen to it because
I just know...
That's gold.
I know, but I just know how nervous I was and I don't want to come across as weird. We talked about our phobias, which mine is like, it's called like tryptohydrophobia or something like that. Like you're afraid of big things underwater.
Oh yeah, that's scary as fuck.
Yeah, and we were looking at like pictures of like sunken ships and I was freaking out.
Yeah, I think you should release that. And then if you guys ever get married, I'm going to make a mix with that, like parts of it in the background. I'm going to put like pictures and stuff and it's going to be really cute.
That would be fun.
You're welcome.
Night classy wedding.
Yeah.
I'll say too, the day I matched with her on Tinder, I wrote in my journal, the first line says, I matched with my dream girl on Tinder today.
I just got chills. That is so cute, guys.
Yeah, we're soulmates. It's no big deal.
Oh my God. You guys really are, though. It's been like, you guys just clicked.
Yeah, we moved in together after 2 months.
Yeah.
Hey. Probably not a good idea, but we did it and it worked out.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I think the fans want to hear the thing, so I think I should just post it on Patreon.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you all. You can take it out on me. Send me the hate mail.
No, don't send her. We're going to post it. 2 out of 3. You got vetoed.
Okay, but it's my own first date. And I'd like the final say.
Well, the people need to know. So
I guess that was a good first date. We recorded some of our conversation and then we went to a rooftop bar and then we went to Midnight Pizza.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That is cute.
And then we went to our house and then we watched Naked Attraction.
Yeah.
We watched
which I think we've discussed on the pod before.
Yeah, I think on our reality TV episode. And then I got a virus on my computer that made porn pop up every 20 seconds because I pirated that show.
The thing about pop-up porn is that it's either really convenient or really inconvenient.
Definitely really inconvenient because then I couldn't bring my laptop to my job for a while since I work with children.
Oh, yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some, I guess.
I guess. It was all worth it in the end.
While you guys started dating, I was literally like, just picture yourself drunk looking in the mirror and I was like, what's wrong with me? Should I give up on love? Like,
my God.
That was my state of mind.
It's so weird because you met Tommy like 3 weeks later or something.
I know.
Yeah, it was like bam, bam, bam. Mm-hmm. The universe, like, they were like, okay, we're going to throw you a bone.
Yeah, you guys need love because if not, your kidneys and livers are going to shut down soon.
Oh, no. No, you don't need love. You can wait. It's worth the wait.
Oh yeah, it's worth waiting for you guys. But like you and I were going out consistently hard every weekend.
Yeah, I think the universe needed to settle us down a little bit. We were having too much fun. And so
it was time.
The universe said these two people need to be in a serious relationship.
Right,
We're going to put our foot down right here.
The universe was like, man, they got here like 5 years ahead of schedule. What the fuck?
They just sped right through all the fun things. Okay.
Right. All right.
Okay. You want to do the next one?
Yes, I do. Okay. Next one is, I haven't made any friends in my freshman year of college, and y'all make me feel like my cool older sisters. Hope that isn't too weird, LOL. I love that so much. I don't think it's weird at all. I think that, you know, whoever you are, whatever freshman year looks like for you, I think that's really normal.
Yeah. It makes my heart sing because I also had a really hard time making friends in college, and I also felt like podcasters were my best friends. So that it makes me feel really good, and I'm glad that I feel like I've come full circle. Like that was me.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Yeah.
The circle of podcasting.
Yes. It's like that meme that's like so popular, but it's like that guy eating like ice cream next to a poster of like people eating ice cream and laughing. It's like what it feels like to listen to a podcast. And absolutely.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
I was not into podcasting. I definitely could have used it my freshman year of college. So I'm really glad that we're able to be that for you. And just keep doing what you're doing. You will find your way.
Absolutely. And people make friends in different ways. Like I had a hard time making friends in college because all of a sudden you're bombarded with so many people and you're in group settings all the time. And I bond with people in one-on-one settings. And in college, you don't really get that. So like unless you really seek it out or until you're in like a situation where you feel comfortable enough to bond with someone, like it can be really hard. And I feel you.
Yeah, I feel you too. It's way easier one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think I'm just going to end on this last little statement I have from someone. It says, I just want to say I'm so excited for you guys and love seeing the growth you've made this last year. I can't wait to see what else is in store. And same. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we love you guys. And I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question or statement. We are like overwhelmed by all the ones we got. And we're really, really grateful to have so many of you that care. So thank you.
Oh yeah. Tomorrow I'm printing out everything and I'm hanging it on my wall. I might even frame it.
Yeah, I think we should. It's truly spectacular. So thank you so much, you guys. We are going to move on, but before we get into our lessons, I just want to shout out a new Patreon, Kaisa Birch, and this one is really close to my heart because Kaisa and I went to high school together. She was like a year, I think just 1 year younger than me, maybe 2, but we don't really know each other. We weren't really friends, but like I always just kind of like admired her from afar. I thought she was like a cool person. And she listens to our podcast and became a Patreon. And I just thought that was really cool to see. She's now a social worker. And so,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Kaisa.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Kaisa. And so she was like, I want to also like pay it forward to someone in another underpaid profession. Because of course, social work is also a very important, very emotionally draining and underpaid profession. So shout out to Kaisa for doing the work. I don't know what city she's in now. She didn't include it on Patreon, but we're both from Enumclaw and we both got out of there. So shout out to you, Kaisa.
You've officially made it.
Yes. So thank you for supporting us. And we breathalyzed.
We sure did. So Kat will be going first this week. I blew a .05.
And I blew a .077. So I get to go first. And I'm really fucking excited for this one.
Me too. I'm going to need to kick back with the drink though, and I need to open the champagne.
Okay, pop it.
All right.
Pop that cat. Just like that. Shake that shit. Work it, bitch.
Wow. You're like a singer.
Okay. So we asked you all to vote on a topic suggested by listeners. And this one won by a lot, like by a landslide. This one won. And I'm so glad because this is the one I really, really, really desperately wanted to do. So today, with no further ado, we are talking about the motherfucking Bermuda Triangle. Bow, bow, bow. Yes. All right. I'm like doing the thing where I clench my fists right now next to my face because I'm so excited.
I'm picturing myself teaching triangles to my preschoolers, and I'm like, and this is the Bermuda Triangle. You've got isosceles, you've got acute, and you've got Bermuda.
Yes. And it is also called the Devil's Triangle. And if you don't know,
what? That just sounds like a she-devil who like just got waxed.
Really? It makes me think of like a devil's three-way. Like,
Yeah, it's a sex move.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's when it's a three-way with two guys and one girl.
Guess I'm just innocent. Like an Eiffel Tower type deal?
I guess you could do an Eiffel Tower, but like a devil's three-way, I think it's just like a two guys and one girl three-way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, yes, this is a sex move, and it is a triangle of ocean in the Atlantic bound roughly by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Legends about the Bermuda Triangle stretch back to 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Ugh.
Fuck you, Columbus. On his first voyage to the Americas, he sailed through the Bermuda Triangle, and in his travel diaries, he reports seeing a giant flame of fire crash into the ocean one night. And a few weeks later, on the same stretch of ocean, what?
What if he was writing this in his diary and then he was like, JK, I took a lot of drugs that night.
It's like, JK, I just wanted people to like write one positive thing about me someday.
Yeah.
I don't have anything positive to say about him, but this is interesting.
JK, I've been eating a lot of moldy bread.
Right. Yeah, probably. He's probably very dehydrated at this point.
JK, I've got scurvy.
Right. So he saw this flame, and then a few weeks later, he saw a strange light just kind of glowing in the distance. He also reports erratic compass readings. So the compasses were malfunctioning while he was going through this stretch of ocean. This was the beginning of a long documented history of strange occurrences in this part of the Atlantic. About 100 years later, in 1609, a ship called the Sea Venture was heading toward the Virginia colonies and was shipwrecked in the Bermuda Triangle. Miraculously, all 150 passengers on board survived, and they washed up on a beautiful, deserted island. It was this shipwreck and this incident that it's believed by some scholars inspired the plot of Shakespeare's The Tempest. And yeah, this is a very famous play, and it made this a very famous shipwreck. And so kind of this just added to the intrigue and the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. It's all kind of just snowballed into this mystery. And we can see why, because there's just incident after incident, and we're going to go over them.
Yeah, I feel like the Bermuda Triangle is obviously one of those things that it goes back for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's been a mystery, and it's still, we don't know what's going on with it. It's not like one of those things like, oh yeah, now that we have science, we know that we have to wash our hands with soap and water.
Right. Yeah, there's all kinds of theories and all kinds of shit. So in December of 1870, oh God.
1870
This is going to be a long one.
Thought, yeah.
In December of 1870, I almost did it again. I'm trying to say ship. I'm reading the word ship as I'm trying to say 1872.
You're shit wrecked.
I'm ship-faced. In December of 1872, a ship called the Mary Celeste set out from New York to Genoa, Italy, and it was transporting raw alcohol. It had 7 crew members plus the captain, Benjamin Briggs, and his wife and his 2-year-old daughter. Just days after the ship departed, it was found stranded at sea in the Atlantic Ocean. The people who found it found that everything on the ship was perfectly in place, but all the passengers and crew members were missing. Nobody was ever found. None of the lifeboats were missing. No lifeboat or any debris was ever found. And things get even more mysterious because 9 barrels of the raw alcohol were empty. And raw alcohol, that's not something you drink. You would die.
Yeah.
They were just empty, and there was a single sword laying on deck.
Ew.
Uh-huh.
Ew.
I know.
No.
Yeah, it's creepy. The first thing I thought was like, okay, they were attacked by pirates, right?
Yeah, things would be a wreck though.
Exactly. And nothing was out of place and everything of value was still on the ship.
I think mermaids.
Mermaids.
Yeah,
That's
mermaids,
an interesting
mermaids
one.
called them into the ocean.
Okay. It
You
would
know
get
how
the
they
baby
do?
too, though.
What's like the fancy name for mermaids?
Sirens?
Sirens. Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely get the baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a theory I don't have written down. So interesting.
What are your theories? Try and top that, okay?
Oh, I have some crazy ones. Maybe even crazier than mermaids. In 1881, a ship called the Ellen Austin was on its way from New York to London when it came across an abandoned ship in the Bermuda Triangle.
That would be scary. You do not go up to an abandoned ship.
No.
Fuck that.
Fuck that. And they should have fucked off, but they didn't. They waited 2 days. They watched the ship, making sure it wasn't a trap because, like, of course, you're afraid back then that a ship might pretend to be deserted and then you get on and then pirates, like you bring your ship close enough to it and then pirates take your ship.
Psych, bitch.
A little bait and switch over here. But there was no sign of movement for 2 days. So they figured it was safe to board the ship. What they found was, again, a fully stocked, untouched ship with no sign of a crew. Just all the people were gone. And so they were like, cool, free ship. And so the captain of the Ellen Austin put his best crew members on the ship and planned to sail it back to London with them so they could bring it in with them. I mean, why not?
I feel like that is just a bad idea. You don't take the abandoned ship. Like where?
But why not? That's like free money.
Because caution. I don't know. It seems weird.
I mean, you just see an abandoned ship. Like, who's going to stop you? There's no one on board, no passengers, no other ships around. Free ship.
I don't know, man. When I walk past like an abandoned house, I'm not like, hey, new house.
This is the 1800s. Things were different.
Things were different. I'm just saying that it seems weird. I'm worried.
You should be worried. So the two ships were traveling together. And even though the weather was good, there was no storm, they ended up getting separated. Eventually, the Ellen Austin spotted the ship again. And once again, it was just drifting aimlessly. They're like, what's going on? They caught up with it. They got into it and found that once again, there were no crew members on the ship, but everything was in place. So their own crew members were now missing and nobody was ever found.
That is so weird because part of me thinks that your brain and your mind can give power to things like the Bermuda Triangle. If you believe in it, then like something could happen. Just like extraterrestrials or like ghost experiences. I think that can have a lot to do with it. But I don't know what these people were thinking. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
the
it's
Bermuda
tangible.
Triangle is just fucking scary.
It's fucking creepy. And things just get creepier. So before the 20th century, like these things were happening, but no one really like put the pieces together too much. But the myths really started picking up in the 20th century. And this is probably the most famous event. So in March of 1918, a Navy cargo ship called the USS Cyclops was transporting 300 men and 10,000 tons of manganese.
I've heard of this one.
I'm sure you have, because this is a big ass motherfucking ship. Like this thing was massive. And
wait, what's manganese?
Some kind of element. We were in World War I at this time, I believe. So
it was used to make some type of weapon or something.
Yeah, some kind of bomb or like, I don't know exactly, but something for the war, I assume. And it was somewhere between Barbados and the Chesapeake Bay when the ship, presumably sank without a trace. It was gone. This massive ship that was like equipped with every technology of the time vanished. And the most mysterious part, of course, is that the ship never sent a distress signal, what it easily could have done. So, like, if the ship was going down or if something happened, like, all they had to do was press a button.
It was like there was no time, or it was just something happened and it was instantaneous. And even if the ship did go down, there would probably be at least one person out on a lifeboat or something
or
of the
some
sort.
trace, some kind of debris. But President Woodrow Wilson is quoted saying, "Only God and the sea know what happened to that great ship because we never found a trace of it. To this day, don't know what happened."
So creepy. I hate it. I hate it.
Me too.
But
and
I love it.
I know, me too. And even crazier, years later, in 1941, 2 of the Cyclops' sister ships also disappeared on the same route.
Yep. Hate it. Hate it, but I love it.
I know.
Gotta have it.
This is a creepy one too. So next I have the Carol A. Deering. That was the ship. And on January 31st in 1921, the ship was found stuck in the rocks of Hatteras Diamond Shoals in North Carolina, completely deserted. All crew members and their personal belongings, navigational equipment, logbooks, and rafts were all gone, but nobody was ever found from it. This ship is often referred to as the ghost ship. There's been like a lot of literature written about it. The next one I have happened in 1945. This one's crazy. 5 Navy bombers, so planes, were carrying 14 men, and they took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and they were going out to practice what was supposed to just be a routine bombing exercise.
God, that just sounds so violent. Like
they were dropping bombs on the ocean.
Right, just a routine bombing. I'm like,
yeah.
no.
Right. Do they still do that? Just drop bombs on the ocean for fun?
I don't know. Who you know that
for like
song
soccer practice? They're just dropping bombs.
You know that song that's like, you dropped a bomb on me, baby. You dropped a bomb on me. You don't know that song?
I don't know.
It's from like the 80s. Well, never mind. I was going to say like the government paid that artist to create like propaganda. It was definitely not in the 40s though. So
all right.
I don't know who it's by. All of the people who are over like 40 years old are like cussing me out right now.
I'm having a hard time because I was picturing like a Bruno Mars song, but
no, it's old. And in the background it has like sounds like bomb sounds, and every time we would hear that, my little brother, when we were super young, he thought that bombs were being dropped on us. Like we were driving the car, he was freaking out, and it always made our dogs howl. They'd be like, oh.
I wonder if like your little brother had like a past life where he was bombed, because why would a kid react to the sound of bombs like that? That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a good theory. I'm into past lives.
Me too.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. Past life regressions won like 3rd place, I think. So we're not doing it, but that would be a good one in the future.
Yeah. I
Or,
call it.
Okay, you can have it. I'd like to listen to it. So they're doing this bombing exercise and their compasses started malfunctioning and all of the planes got severely lost. They had no choice but to just fly around until they ran out of fuel and fell into the sea.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, what would you be thinking while you're doing that? Like, what are the chances that they don't survive? Because I feel like they're trained for that instance,
right?
But also,
and like they ditched their planes before the planes fell, so they like parachuted down with life jackets, presumably. I mean, we don't know for sure because there's been no trace of them, as we'll get to in a second. But you would probably be found. Like you'd ditch your plane and you'd have flares and life jackets and bright colors, and rescue planes went out to look for them because I mean they assumed exactly that. They'd be floating in the ocean in brightly colored life vests with flares. Why wouldn't they? But the same day the planes disappeared, the rescue plane along with its crew of 13 people also disappeared.
Oh my God. Narrator comes in. That is not what happened. They were not rescued.
They were not rescued, and neither was like their own rescue plane. There was a 2-week-long massive search that failed to come up with a single shred of evidence.
Oh my God. The fucking aliens who abducted them, they're like, oh, they were rescued. All right.
We got them.
We saw all the war you guys were waging. It's a no for us.
Yeah, we just thought we'd scoop them up. And the official Navy was
they kidnapped them from bomb practice. Like, this is
right. They're like, we just this is too loud today. Like the aliens were hungover. They're like, we got to put a stop to this. Not today.
The aliens were like, hey pilots, we've got some candy.
Yeah.
Hop into our spacecraft.
Oh, man. The official Navy report said, quote, it was as if they had flown to Mars. And maybe they had.
Mars? Why Mars? That's oddly specific. Tell me more about Mars. What do you know?
What's on Mars? I have one more, and this is a boat called the Witchcraft. And it wasn't a ship. It was a 23-foot long yacht, and there were only 2 passengers on board. There was the captain, Dan Burrick, and his friend, Father Patrick Horrigan. And they set out on a very, in my opinion, romantic friend date, quote-unquote friend date, because they were going out on December 22nd, so right before Christmas in 1967, to enjoy the view of the Christmas lights off the coast of Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that sounds great.
I know. They probably had some champagne. They were having a great time. That sounds freaking lovely. I want to be on a yacht looking at Christmas lights on the coast of Miami.
Yeah.
With my boyfriend, the priest.
I want to be like on that yacht looking at the Christmas lights every day.
Yeah.
Like not just during Christmas.
Oh, yeah. It sounds lovely. But unfortunately, they ended up having like minor damage done to their boat. They said it, they called the Coast Guard and they were like, hey, like it's not that big of a deal, but like we're not sinking or anything, but we can't get back to the shore. We need you to come and tow us to the shore. It wasn't they said it wasn't an emergency. The Coast Guard set out and arrived at their location only 19 minutes later. And once they got there, the boat was completely gone without a trace. And this was a yacht. Like they had life-saving devices on board, like life jackets, lifeboats, flares, distress signals. Apparently none of that had been used. The boat was just gone in those 19 minutes.
Screw that. I don't F with the ocean and I never will. Like as much as I want that Christmas light scenario, not gonna happen. Like
you went from saying I want that every day to being like I never want that.
I never want to be taken to the deep depths of the Bermuda Triangle. And that sounds so lovely, but also the ocean really scares me. And I think
terrifying.
As soon as anything happens, I'm out.
But I don't know if I said this before. They were only 1 mile off of the shore.
Were they in the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, the Bermuda Triangle, like the one corner of it is in Miami. They were just like a mile off the shore of Miami.
What if
they could have feasibly swam? I mean, I guess maybe not because it's the ocean.
Okay, so they were near it.
They were on the boat so that they could see the Christmas lights. They could see the shore.
But I'm wondering, because this is about the Bermuda Triangle. So obviously they were close to it because it's right there in like the
Bermuda
Caribbean.
Triangle doesn't have like a clear line.
It's more of a circle.
It's an estimate. I mean, I said this in the beginning, but the estimated corners of it are Miami. Let's see. Let me scroll back up.
Miami.
Shut up. Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. So if they're off the coast of Miami, like they're in the corner of the Bermuda Triangle.
That's all I had to say.
Okay, well, I was trying to.
Sorry, I needed a visual. I'm a visual learner. Don't get mad.
Okay, I'm mad. I'm mad. And we're only a page into this 7-page long.
What?
We'll get through it. I'm just kidding. We're more than a page. We're like a third of the way through. Overall, it's estimated that over 50 ships and 20 airplanes have disappeared over this stretch of ocean in recorded history.
Why do people go through it?
Because they have to. This is a major pathway. I mean, it goes from Europe to North America. This is what you have to go through.
I get that, but also, what's a little extra engine fuel to just not?
I mean,
am I asking too much?
You're asking too much. They were already on ships for fucking months.
Right. What's the cost of a life versus the dollar?
Okay. Obviously, the Bermuda Triangle has become a huge deal in pop culture. The term Bermuda Triangle was first coined in a 1964 magazine article by Vincent Gaddis. And then in the article, he wrote about other mysterious events, including 3 passenger planes that went down immediately after sending all's well signals. And the legend blew up once again in 1974, where a very famous author named Charles Berlitz wrote a wildly popular bestseller about the legend. And since then, it's had its place in pop culture. Like, I think most people know about it. I remember seeing it, like, shows and documentaries about it all the time on the History Channel, Discovery Channel growing up. And people love to speculate wildly and come up with theories about what's causing these disappearances.
Right. What else are you going to do? It's timeless.
It truly is. And there's so many fun possibilities. The first one is, of course, aliens. People think that there's possibly an underwater alien base, or that the Bermuda Triangle is some kind of alien portal. And these disappearances are UFO abductions. So maybe...
Is there something about the magnetic field there? Or
yeah, well, I have a whole section on the magnetic field. I didn't see that as in relation to aliens, but it is related to like navigational disturbances. I'm going to go over the crazier explanations first, and then we'll go over the more rational ones like that.
Cool. The aliens are like shopping around. They're on realtor.com. They're looking for a nice place. And the realtor's like, okay, here you have several islands. It's warm right on the equator. It's triangular.
Yeah. And like I see like in all the sources, it was like for some reason people think that aliens randomly chose this stretch of ocean to be a portal. And it's like, well, it's one of the most highly trafficked ship pathways in the world, and it's easy to like make ships disappear because like you could just think they were shipwrecked. Like you can easily kidnap hundreds of people and people just think it's a shipwreck. Like I think that's a pretty clever way to abduct people.
I feel like aliens are definitely smarter than us. I don't know why, because technically they could be like hundreds of thousands of years behind us evolutionarily.
But if they made it to Earth, like we've never made it to an alien civilization.
Or if they're already on Earth and they're in the deep ocean.
Yeah, they're just fucking around. They're smart. This is my favorite theory, which is the lost city of Atlantis.
Oh my God. Yes.
So people think that Atlantis is real and possibly located underwater in the Bermuda Triangle. And if you don't know, Atlantis is a mythical civilization that people believe was like super advanced a long, long time ago, but it was destroyed and supposedly sank to the bottom of the ocean. Some people think that their technology involved these giant Athenian fire crystals that powered the city. The idea is that this technology is down there and these crystal energies, quote unquote, interfere with navigation equipment, causing these shipwrecks.
That sounds plausible, if anything.
Really?
The way you're describing it, I'm on board.
Okay. So there's no evidence of this being true, other than a claim made by someone named Dr. Ray Brown, who went scuba diving in 1970. And Dr. Ray Brown said he found a pyramid-like structure with smooth, mirror-like stone fish all over it down under the ocean. And he swam inside and found the interior completely free of coral and algae, and it was illuminated by an unknown light source. And in the center was a sculpture of human hands holding a 4-inch crystal sphere suspended below a red gem at the end of a brass rod. So this is what he saw, and this is unverified tea.
Right. Pics or it did not happen.
Exactly. We're just going straight by his word.
I don't care if a GoPro did not exist, then you find a way when you find something like that.
You come up to the surface and you say, hey, everybody, look what I found.
Right. You create an emergency that's false.
Yeah.
Just to
emergency meeting in Atlantis.
You scream fire just to get people over to look out. Don't actually do that, but
right. But if he found that, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good evidence that Atlantis exists and there's an unknown light source under the ocean causing all this power and navigational difficulties. Maybe. The next theory is sea monsters, which ties into the Atlantis theory because people think that the city ruins might be home to sea monsters or giant squids. Maybe that includes your mermaids?
Perhaps, or maybe it's just like pets who have pets who have survived past the humanoids or whatever they were down there.
Oh, the Atlantis pets?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cute.
That would be cute. Yeah.
Makes me think of like Neopets.
They're like, when will my human sea person return from mystery? I don't know. I don't know if there are no humans down there. What happened to the humans in Atlantis? Are they still there?
I don't know. Maybe
Neither.
they turned into mermaids. Evolution.
Oh my God.
Vestigial organs. Okay. The next explanation is literally ghosts. Psychiatrist Dr. Kenneth McCall believes that this area might be haunted by the souls of enslaved people who were thrown overboard during the Triangle trade route.
Oh, wow.
And drowned, because back in the 18th century, it was common practice to throw live human beings who were being transported to the American colonies intended to become slaves overboard in order to collect insurance money from their deaths. So that's obviously extremely fucked up. People were also thrown overboard for a myriad of reasons. A lot of people died on these slave ships and their bodies were just thrown overboard. So there's a lot of obvious horrific things and trauma associated with this route. He thinks that maybe this area is cursed, and he believes this because he claims to have had firsthand paranormal experiences in the Bermuda Triangle. I have a quote from him, and I'm just going to read it. He said, "As we drifted gently in the now warm and steamy atmosphere, I became aware of the continuous sound like a mournful singing. I thought it must be a record player in the crew's quarters, and as it continued through the night, I finally, in exasperation, went below to ask if it could be stopped. However, the sound down there was the same as it was everywhere, and the crew was equally mystified."
Wow.
Yeah.
What if it was people who were suffering on those ships? You know, they passed on to the next realm, and any ship or plane that flies through there, they're just like, I don't want you to have to suffer like I did, or how you could have
so
suffered.
they like make them disappear, give them a quick death.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's really dark, depressing. This one's less depressing, this next one.
Okay.
Time warps and possibly something called electronic fog. There's a man named Bruce Gernon who says he survived this electronic fog phenomenon. So what he says happened is in December of 1970, he and his dad were flying a plane over the Bahamas when they encountered a strange, like cloud-looking tunnel-shaped vortex. They flew past it, but scraped it with the plane's wings. And when they touched it with the plane's wings, all of the plane's electronic and magnetic navigation malfunctioned.
They were like, just the tip.
Right. Like, we're just like, don't touch the butt, like in Finding Nemo.
It's never just the
I
tip.
touched the butt.
Oh, I touched the butt. I can't stop. And then they fade out of existence.
Pretty much. They ended up like going through clouds. Like they kind of got, it sounds like sucked into this tunnel shaped vortex, and it didn't look that big to them at first. And so they expected to come out of it seconds later and be back in the blue sky like they had been. But all they could see was a grayish white fog for miles. And this grayish white fog, like they couldn't see anything. It covered the ocean, it covered the sky and the sun. They were just in like white space. And they flew through it for 34 minutes. And in 34 minutes, they found themselves at Miami Beach. This flight would have normally taken 75 minutes.
Ooh.
So time warp?
Maybe so. Mm-hmm. Could the winds of it possibly have like sped them up?
I don't think it would have, like that would have like halved the time. And like if you're already going in an airplane pretty fast, like you don't go double speed.
Right.
So who knows? They said that like this time was corroborated by all the clocks on board in the plane. Like they were watching the clocks. It had only been 34 minutes. And Gernon suggests that this electronic fog phenomenon, which I think he coined that term, might be responsible for the disappearance of Flight 19, which is a flight that also disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle. Of course, that kind of ties into vortexes. Like some people think there might be like these vortexes that shift space and time and cause ships to disappear without a trace. So maybe that's what they hit.
But what happens to them when they disappear without a trace?
They go to a different dimension.
So scary. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is.
What if this is a different dimension?
I mean, it's all fake. We're all in a simulation. It doesn't matter which dimension we're in.
It doesn't matter if you're blonde or not.
Well, that matters. My next section is the more quote unquote rational explanations, because even the rational explanations, a lot of them are pretty out there. The first one is the one you already brought up. So magnetic anomalies. It's proposed that there's part of the Bermuda Triangle called the agnostic line where true north lines up. Normally true north doesn't completely line up. And so there's something called magnetic compass variation, which you have to account for when you're navigating. But ships and pilots who fail to realize that they're heading through true north will not account for this difference. And it could possibly fuck up their navigation, causing them to hit rocks or get shipwrecked or disappear.
Right. But to disappear completely, I mean, I guess the ocean is a mysterious place.
Yeah.
But still. Seems weird.
It seems weird. And there's big problems with this theory. And it's very convoluted. I was getting really confused because some sources claim that this is a misconception and that there used to be magnetic anomalies, but they're not there anymore. And that's what the Navy says. So I have a quote from the Navy and it's kind of long, but I'm only going to read it because I also have a quote from the Coast Guard that directly contradicts this. So I want you guys to pay attention to how different these two things are. One's from the Navy, one's from the Coast Guard. So the Navy says, quote, "It has been incorrectly claimed that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the two places on Earth at which the magnetic compass points toward true north. Normally, a compass will point toward magnetic north. The difference between the two is known as compass variation. Although in the past, this compass variation did affect the Bermuda Triangle region due to the fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field, this has apparently not been the case since the 19th century." So they're saying it used to have this magnetic effect, but now it doesn't.
Okay.
However, I also have a quote from the Coast Guard who say, quote, "The majority of disappearances can be attributed to the Earth's unique environmental features. First of all, the Devil's Triangle is one of the two places on Earth that a magnetic compass does point toward true north. Normally it points to magnetic north. The difference between the two is known as compass variation, blah, 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 blah." But they're saying that, quote, "If this compass variation or error is not compensated for, a navigator could find himself far off course and in deep trouble." So the Coast Guard says this exists and this accounts for disappearances. The Navy says it does not exist anymore and it's not real.
The only thing going on in my mind right now is the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other. And it's the compasses.
It's crazy. And I don't want to get too wild because this quote from the Coast Guard is from 30 years ago. And I think the Navy's quote is more recent. So maybe they've just figured it out since then. Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. And also the poles are due to switch magnetically.
I have no idea about any of this stuff.
At least it's been a while. If they haven't switched already, the North Pole and the South Pole, it gets to a point, it seems where there's enough tension, they flop. And I don't know anything else beyond that, but maybe it has something to do with that.
The Navy said that this was the case in the 19th century, so about 200 years ago. Maybe it used to be, and maybe the Coast Guard just didn't know this. I don't know why they wouldn't know that, but whatever.
Either way, they're trying to sound really smart when really they just don't actually know what's going on.
They're just as confused as we are. So choose your own adventure. Choose which one you want to believe. The next one I have is huge methane gas eruptions. So it is known that pockets of highly flammable methane gas exist under the ocean. We think it's possible that if a bubble of this gas came up, it could be ignited by a spark or lightning and cause a massive explosion, possibly enough to burn a ship into nothing.
It sounds like you're describing my acne, my hormonal acne.
Sounds like I'm describing me after I eat Chipotle.
Chipotle always burns us, but we keep going back.
I mean, it tastes so good. It's worth it, 100%. But unlike us eating Chipotle, an incident like this has never actually happened that we know of. So this is pure wild speculation. Also,
It's like me being like, yes, I know about the magnetic poles. This is something I think I heard.
Right. I mean, it sounds like you know more than I do. I was so confused about how like the magnetic poles could change. I have no idea.
I just remember being scared and confused in 7th grade. Something about the magnetic poles changing. That's really the extent
It's
of
very
it.
intimidating. Like the whole energy of the earth just changes every few hundred years. That's wildly terrifying.
The most I want to know about magnets is that they're really close. They stick together.
Yes.
Very intimate relationship.
There's no space in between.
Right.
They're just stuck.
They're clingy.
They cling. All right. This is what I think is probably the most likely theory is simply like difficult weather because this place is somewhere where the like winds collide and multiple storms sometimes converge. So 2 hurricanes can hit each other. And this combined with like all the coral reefs in the Gulf Stream can be really catastrophic. The way that the winds hit each other and storms converge, it can create something called rogue waves. And rogue waves can reach up to 100 feet and are powerful enough, like if they hit a ship, to like completely destroy it or an airplane.
That's terrifying. I think I've already talked about how I watched a whole video on the world's biggest waves and it's a no.
Yeah.
It's a no for me.
It's a big no. So simply bad weather might be the reason for a lot of these disappearances. Obviously, it doesn't really account for like the people who just like go missing, but a lot of ships like have disappeared without a trace, and like it just could be bad weather that sinks them.
That's like when you go to the doctor and you're like, my stomach hurts all the time, and they're like, don't worry about it, but it turns out you're like allergic to gluten. Like it's just such a bigger explanation than they make it out to be.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings me to the next point where it's really unlikely that one single theory can explain all of these vastly different events. And it's probably like a lot more simple than we think it is. Skeptics point out that trying to attribute one theory to all of these disappearances is like trying to attribute one theory to all of the car accidents in Arizona. Because like it really just comes down to is ship and plane wrecks. There's also not really any evidence to suggest that ship and plane wrecks occur more frequently here than anywhere else in the world. Journalist Larry Cooch
nice
argues
Jerry Juicy Cooch.
Excuse me, it's Larry Juicy Cooch.
Larry Lucy Cooch. Try me. I dare you.
I mean, fuck Larry, because he's a huge stick in the mud. He argues that there's no mystery here, and all the reports of quote-unquote mysterious disappearances are more of a result of mistakes, bad research, fear-mongering, and outright fabrication.
Prove it then, Larry. Why don't you prove it?
Prove it.
Because I'd like to see that.
I mean...
I'd like to be able to go to Florida and get in the ocean without fear. I'd like that.
I know, but
so we're waiting.
We're waiting, but unfortunately, like he does have a point. He says that most of the literature about the Bermuda Triangle, like the most famous book, like from Charles Berlitz, is filled with mistakes and fake science. Charles Berlitz was like a huge fan of the paranormal, and like his aim was to write a sensational paranormal book without really paying attention to the facts. The book failed to mention that a lot of the ship disappearances that he cited happened during really bad storms or way outside of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
No.
I know. I'm sorry. He also noted that the Bermuda Triangle is heavily trafficked, like both by cargo and cruise ships, because I mean, it's right off the coast of North America. It lines South America. You have to go through it to get from Europe to either of the Americas. There's a lot of ships there. So obviously a lot of ships are going to sink. Like ships sink sometimes. And if this is the most heavily one of the most heavily trafficked places on Earth, there's gonna be ships that sink.
Right, the ratio makes sense.
Yeah.
Math.
And I have a quote from the U.S. Coast Guard, quote, in a review of many aircraft and vessel losses in the area over the years, there has been nothing discovered that would indicate that casualties were the result of anything other than physical causes. No extraordinary factors have ever been identified. Ultimately, it's argued that a lot of the stories and myths have been blown way out of proportion and exaggerated to, you know, sell movies and books and documentaries. Which, boo, I refuse to believe it. I say embrace the conspiracy theories. But like in the end, even if it's not the Bermuda Triangle, the ocean is still mysterious and scary as fuck. And like even if you can't attribute these to the Bermuda Triangle, the fact that like there are like ships out there where the crew just goes missing without a trace and like these things happen, that's still fucking terrifying. And the ocean is terrible, and stay the fuck away from it.
Yeah, everything is scary, basically. Yeah. You know how they hypothesized that Amelia Earhart disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle? Yeah. I have a funny anecdote about that. Okay. So I was at a thrift store and I needed to return something, but they were like, you can't return this, but we can give you a credit. And one of the guys, he recognized me. He's like, hey, I have some art that I think you might like. And one of them was a poster that's now hanging in my classroom, but the other one is what I thought was a poster of Amelia Earhart. It's like hard. It's a nice poster.
Yeah, I remember you showing it to me.
Yeah. Turns out it's not Amelia Earhart.
Well, who the fuck is it?
I don't know. It's just
a random woman.
Yeah, it's a random person dressed in pilot gear.
Well, maybe she was a pilot.
We looked up pilots. Like, I think it was just like a reenactment of something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
so I have a random ass poster in black and white of someone in costume.
That's really funny. That's even better than if it was Amelia Earhart.
I know. I know.
That.
So now I need to get it framed and hang it somewhere.
Please do.
We need to put that in the episode pictures.
Yeah, remind me.
I'll get that.
That's perfect and amazing. I need to credit my sources. So I have history.com, express.co.uk, britannica.com, oceanservice.noaa.gov, livescience.com, theweek.co.uk, marineinsight.com, and liveabout.com. That was my motherfucking lesson.
Wow. Thank you. I feel like that was so comprehensive. I love how you go from like the theories that you like, that were like the most wild to the things that you're like, maybe this is all just kind of
maybe it's all a lie, but I still am scared of it.
I'm somewhere in between. Yeah. The ocean is fucking scary.
The ocean, like regardless of the Bermuda Triangle, like the ocean is like, we don't understand the ocean. At least I don't. It's very deep. It's very big. There's a lot out there that we don't know.
Yeah, I think that you can understand the ocean at some level. Like people study it, but also there's like even at that point, you technically don't know shit.
No, they don't know shit. It's so fucking deep. Like what's at the bottom?
She's deep. And yeah, the earth is more ocean than it is earth. Yes, and we haven't even explored all the places on like land. So
is that true?
Yeah, they're definitely unexplored. Like think about tribes that have been like not communicated with, like in South America.
I don't think there are tribes that we haven't.
There are.
No, I don't think so.
Look it
all
up.
Right. Well, I was in anthropology. I was 5 credits away from being an anthropology major. I feel like I know.
Well, then maybe the YouTube videos I've watched are bullshit.
Well, if you've seen YouTube videos about these tribes, like we've made contact with them.
I mean, I guess so.
In some capacity.
Yeah.
We know about them. All right. We got to move on.
Okay.
Sorry to start a fight. All right. Let's hear a word from our sponsor and we'll be right back. It is our anniversary episode, and therefore we want to take this opportunity to hype ourselves up, and we have some really freaking cool merch.
Right, so I'm going to start with just the basic. It's a little black t-shirt, and by little, I just mean that it's cute.
Yeah,
it's your
unisex.
Plain black. Yeah, it's unisex, whatever size you need. We freaking got it. It's plain black tee. It has night classy in white font, our classic font. I don't know what it's called, honestly, but it's cute as fuck, and you can dress it up. My favorite way to do this is with like a nice pair of earrings, a flashy necklace, if you will, or you can dress it down, wear it to the gym, whatever you like. It is affordable. It's $15.
Yeah, and free shipping. It's a classic. It goes with everything. We have a friend downstairs who's the security guard we say hi to, and he complimented Alec on his Night Classy shirt today. So it will get you a lot of compliments. It is very, very fun and versatile, and we like it.
It sure is. And if you're not ready to stop there at the t-shirt, we have a crew neck. I love crew necks. I'm sure you all love crew necks. We all have our favorite one, and my favorite one this past winter, and even when it's chilly in the house during spring and summertime, is our Night Classy one. It looks like a legit university crew neck, but it's for like half the cost.
Yeah, it says Night Classy University on it. It's Champion brand. It's heather gray, super soft, absolutely flawless. It is my go-to sweatshirt to just wear around the house, lounge in.
Right, you can do grout fit, you can do it with jeans, leggings, whatever you need. Put a jean jacket over it, or even leather, be edgy.
Yeah, I've worn mine with leather leggings and Doc Martens, and you look very cool, and it goes with everything. Dress it up, dress it down.
Right.
It's a good one.
And then if you feel like being extra, of course, we have our bright pink, beautiful Pose for Science shirts.
Yes, they have alcohol molecules on them, and you can let everyone know you're a hoe for science. And if you want your water bottle to also be shining just like you, we have Night Classy logo stickers that are iridescent and sparkly, and we also have our really fun Magic School Bus 60s psychedelic themed Learning Journey stickers. So check those out.
Right. If not one, then all of them. Why not just do it all? One foul swoop.
Shopping spree, retail therapy. You can click on the link in the show notes or go to Parasaur's website and shop.
And don't forget, when you do that, you support a teacher.
Definitely. And if you're a patron, you get a discount.
Bye. Bow, bow, bow. Welcome back, my friends. On this learning journey, we are going to learn about Marsha P. Johnson. She is a person that I'm spotlighting for our listeners' topic choice of Black history. And it's important to note that Black history is our history. It's American history, even though it is not always reflected in the textbooks or what is highlighted in the mainstream. It's very, very important to discuss. Marsha P. Johnson was a trailblazer, an activist, an educator, and a survivor. So before I get into this lesson, I just want to voice that I do not look like or come from the same place as Marsha P. Johnson. I cannot really even put myself in her shoes. I can only read about her life, her struggles, her activism. And I know it's not my own fault necessarily in the public education system, but I did not learn anything about Marsha in all of my years in school. It took this instance to learn about Marsha P. Johnson, and I really hope that this lesson can change that for other people because it's so important.
Definitely. And I think that the official topic that people voted on was things you didn't learn in history, especially about Black achievements and Black history, because our history is so whitewashed, the version we get taught to us in schools. And our roommate Kelly was teaching her students a unit on this person, and she briefly explained her to me in just a few sentences. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I've never heard of this person and I have to know more.
Right. Through social media, and especially with everything going on with the Black Lives Matter protests this summer and the George Floyd murder that happened in May, I believe it was, obviously this has been in the forefront for a lot of people, more so than I think it was in the public eye before. But, Marsha had been kind of in the general arena of somebody that I would like to learn more about, but I don't know why I didn't do it before. And I also regret that, but I'm really excited and glad that I've gotten a chance to sit down and get to know her story more and hopefully do her justice by sharing that with all of you all. So let's start.
I'm ready.
Marsha was born August 25th, 1945 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Jersey. He's a doctor. He's a lawyer. And her father was Malcolm Michaels Sr. He was an assembly line worker at General Motors. Her mother was Alberta Claiborne, a housekeeper. All throughout her childhood, Marsha attended an African Methodist
Episcopal.
Episcopal.
What did you think it was?
I accidentally spelled it with an X.
Episcopal.
Yes, literally. And it's not autocorrected. Autocorrect is like, hell yeah, fucking right.
Yeah. Autocorrect is like, I don't know either.
Right. My mouth is like, it burns coming out.
The power of Christ compels you.
But she grew up going to church in her childhood. She remained religious throughout her entire life and actually became interested in Catholicism later in life, which I feel like, I don't know if this is funny or not, but this is just where my mind went. I was like, how do you say it?
Episcopal.
I'm like, that's like weed and how people say it's a gateway drug. And that was the gateway drug to Catholicism. Because I feel like Catholicism is hardcore.
It is, but I think the Episcopal Church is also pretty hardcore.
Right.
And the Episcopal is just the version that Henry VIII founded when he got divorced.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the American
so it was like
version
the
of the Church of
stem
England.
Off of Catholicism. Now I can't talk.
So it was like a lateral move. But anyway, Marsha P. Johnson started wearing dresses when she was 5 years old, and that was outside of the norm. Kids in the neighborhood would beat her up and bully her for that because they felt like that was outside of what she should be doing for who they thought she was. And she stopped wearing dresses. It did not take long for that to happen, and she just stopped. Preferred pronouns were not really even a thing back then.
Yeah, not at all.
When she got older, Marsha would use the she, her pronouns for herself. Some of the sources I saw in my research said that she would request he, him pronouns or other names besides Marsha when she was not in drag or not presenting as female.
Yeah. So because I don't really know much about her. Was she trans or was she like a gay man that sometimes went by like a female persona? Or should we be using they, them pronouns or she, her?
All of the sources that I read about used she, her pronouns because that's what she would use to describe herself.
Okay.
She struggled with mental health. So there were some episodes we'll learn about later where it seemed like she could be suffering from symptoms of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or multiple personalities disorder. But generally, the overarching theme is that like in the 70s and 80s, terms to describe people's gender and gender identity didn't exist. They weren't mainstream. So she never identified herself as specifically transgender. Let me skip ahead because this will help us out a little bit more. Marsha's self-identity really seemed fluid. She would sometimes self-identify as gay, sometimes as a transvestite, and those are her words, and as a queen, specifically a drag queen. Personally, as you'll see, I think she was a queen 100% of the time, but we're not really sure. She's not alive right now. So I feel like we don't have the right vocabulary.
Right. If the words for it didn't exist, and also if the press at the time like didn't properly like listen to her or like have the vocabulary themselves, it's probably convoluted.
It is convoluted.
But if all your sources referred to her as a her, then You can go by that.
And that's what, I mean, there are interviews of her, there are videos, and she referred to herself in the pronouns she, they. Okay. So, or not she, they, she and her.
Okay.
So that's what I am going to use.
I mean, if she referred to herself that way, I think that's a pretty, that's a very safe.
But
it is hard. You want to be sensitive. And I mean, if there's convoluting things, but I think going by what she herself has said, it's the best.
It's pretty safe. Yeah. So anyway, she would use these she, her pronouns. And in adulthood, she later came out and she told in an interview that when she was younger, a boy had raped her in her adolescence. So she definitely didn't have a super great upbringing. From a very young age, Marsha knew that she was different from the norm, if you will. But also at the same time, I really want to point out that I don't think anyone is normal. I think that there's an idea of what normal is and should be, but I really don't think that anyone fits that. But she felt that she was different. She didn't get to wear these dresses like she preferred, and she would go on later in life to describe being gay as some sort of dream. It seemed impossible for her to live her truth at the time. And she didn't really get a lot of support at home either. There was little to no understanding of the LGBTQIA plus community, and her parents were less than supportive.
Okay. I was going to ask, did her parents allow her to wear dresses? Or
from what I can tell in my research, it seems like Marsha defended them. It seemed like she was like, they just didn't understand. They didn't have the vocabulary. They didn't know what this was all about.
And it's got to be tough. Like, you're already raising like a Black child in America, like hoping that, hoping for the best for them in a world that's stacked against them. And then if they're also part of another minority, like, even like you can be supportive and still be worried about what like kind of hardships that's going to bring to your child.
Yeah, worried about the hardships. And I don't know what their situation was like, but she was one of 7 children. So I can only imagine her parents were spread thin. Mm-hmm. After graduating from Edison High School in 1963, Marsha moved to New York City with only a bag of clothes and $15 to her name. I feel like that's how I started teaching.
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, it was close. It was a close call.
If you convert for inflation, it's about right.
That's about right. Yeah. We spent like 3 months in teacher training where I blew through like all the savings I'd ever have.
Yeah, that first paycheck was quite the relief.
Yeah. In New York City, Marsha met other gay people in the city, and she felt like she could finally be herself. Initially, she went by the name Black Marsha, but she ended up settling on the name Marsha P. Johnson. Johnson came from a restaurant called Howard Johnson's in New York City, and she always told people that the P stood for pay it no mind. This was like her catchphrase. She would use it all the time to everyone. So I think that's literally what it stood for her.
Yeah.
And she would especially use it sarcastically when people questioned her gender and her identity. And legend says that she told a judge that P stood for pay it no mind in court, and the judge let her go without any jail time because it made him laugh.
Nice. I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Marsha, once she was in New York City and living as a fully out, confident, gay, queer person, it made it hard for her to get hired, and she ended up working as a sex worker. This definitely led to some issues with supporting herself, especially in the 70s. Marsha got arrested so many times. She stopped counting after 100 times.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What? Okay, we're not going to go on like a decriminalized sex work rant because I want to, and this is getting long, but like fucking why? Mind the business that pays you.
You're going to be asking fucking why so many more times. And yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like,
that's
why
just it.
Arrest someone for not harming any. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we get it. I think we're all on the same page. Mm-hmm. Marsha's self-identity seemed fluid. Sometimes she, like I said, she would identify herself as gay, as a transvestite, as a drag queen. And a professor of human studies and sexualities, Susan Stryker at the University of Arizona, says that Marsha's gender expression could possibly be identified as gender nonconforming. Mm-hmm. And Marsha never identified with the term transgender, but the world was and still is so heteronormative that these terms for people to accurately express themselves were not used. And especially not even just like, I feel like in the airflow.
Yeah, I don't know if transgender as a term existed back then. Like, I feel like transvestite, which of course now is like an outdated and offensive term.
Yes.
For most people, like, was just like the word for it.
That was the word. Yeah. And I should have looked up when the term transgender came to be, because that I feel is more appropriate for where we are. But besides that, those are the ways that Marsha would describe herself. And Marsha was not necessarily extravagant. She was not typically in like show drag because it was really expensive. The hair, the makeup, the clothes, the shoes. And she struggled to make a living at times.
Can't always afford that lace front. If I've learned anything from RuPaul's Drag Race, it's that shit's expensive.
Yeah, the lace front. Okay, lashes.
Yeah.
I've had my lashes done one time, and I would do it every other week if I could. But damn.
Fucking expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, expensive, but worth it.
I know. There's this like challenge on RuPaul's Drag Race where they had to sing a song, and like one of the lines on the song was like, if you can't get any gigs, buy yourself a lace front wig. And they're like, how are you gonna buy a lace front wig if you can't get any gigs? That costs money.
I've been seeing so many ads for Afterpay, and it's like they're literally just saying, which I don't think there's a problem with using Afterpay, but as long as you can pay your bills, it's fine. But also it's like, use Afterpay, get into debt. Like, just rack it up.
Also, when I'm buying something for like $60 and it recommends I use Afterpay, it's like,
Yeah, you're like, $13 per month for 8 months sounds great.
Right? No interest. May as well.
My boobs are going to look great in this shirt. I don't give a fuck.
Right. It's tempting. It's tempting for sure.
It is so tempting. I used Afterpay or something like that. It's through a firm, but I got a new mattress because last summer, up until that point, from the time I was in like 6th grade, I was sleeping on my mom's mattress from when she was a kid in the 70s.
Damn. Holy shit. I didn't know your mattress was that old.
It was old as fuck. And I don't know which came first, the mattress or my back problems. But when I went to see a chiropractor in high school, they were like, yeah, so your vertebrae are twisting in 2 opposite directions.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so that's why my back hurts like all the time.
I had to get adjusted because I was playing soccer so much, my hips got crooked. So one hip was higher than the other side, and like my whole pelvis was fucked up. And they were like, this needs to stop.
Shania Twain comes by and she's like, you look like the perfect cast member for my new music video. Got a baby on my hip because I'm a soccer player.
Literally, I had to do like physical therapy to get my hips back where
oh my gosh, thank God your hips are back. Jesus.
Well, now I don't exercise anymore, so now I have no issues. Don't exercise and you'll be fine.
Exercise is bad.
It's bad. It fucks you up.
It's scary.
Now I just want to sing I'm a redneck woman.
I know.
I'm a redneck woman. Ain't no high class broad.
Which isn't Shania Twain, right?
No, it's
I fucked that up. Sorry.
It's not Shania Twain. I totally missed that you said that. It's a lesser known. I forget who it is.
Right. I didn't want to not know it, so I just took I took a guess.
It was a
and
good
bad.
guess. It was it
It
was a
worked
good
in the
guess.
moment, which is all that
Yeah.
matters.
Okay.
The cover art for that song is outstanding, and Shania Twain would never have posted for that.
Yeah, I have really good live videos of you and our friend Zach singing
Oh my God.
Redneck Woman on our front porch.
Me and Zach are like the two least redneck people on the planet. He's wearing like his like pink silk bomber jacket,
Yeah.
and me and him are singing that song together. It's amazing.
It's so good.
Gretchen Wilson.
Gretchen Wilson. Thank you. I'm glad
Yeah.
you looked that up.
Thank you, Gretchen Wilson, for that because
God bless her.
that song comes up so often
That
in
song,
my life.
that is like my favorite song. I love
I
that
can
song.
see it. Yeah, it's like you're like a wild card, and I feel like for that to be your favorite song, that checks out.
I have a redneck like sub identity from spending like 7 years of my life in the country.
Yeah, we need to figure out at a later date what your name is for that kind of rural side of you, if you will.
Kaylee-Ann.
Kaylee-Ann Johnson.
Yep. There you go.
Okay, perfect. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be. So your Kat, your Claudia, and your Kaylee.
Mm-hmm. A lot of k sounds.
Okay, that's kind of an inside joke, so maybe just cut it.
An inside joke. I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either.
Oh, I was trying to do the like wah.
Now
Sorry,
I get it.
you
Now I
guys were
get
just laughing because I was being
Well,
stupid.
I got it because I thought that was it. But then when you said it was an inside joke, I was like, oh, I don't get it.
Yeah, same. It's like an inside joke with who? You and Alec that I'm not part of?
And I thought I was like, oh, it's her and Kat. I don't get it.
Turns out it was just me and my inside voices.
It's you and Safdie's joke.
It's you and Hadana Rockefeller's
Yeah.
joke.
Me and Hadana Rockefeller have like way more jokes than are comfortable to even speak about. Like literally, I'm just driving to school bouncing jokes off of Hadana Rockefeller.
Quarantine needs to speed the fuck up so I can watch you do stand up.
I'm so
I'm desperate
scared.
for
I'm
it.
so scared. I'm gonna have to take like 3 shots of tequila before I do it.
I'm gonna be your biggest heckler.
No, you just
Yeah.
need to support me.
I need to. I will be supporting you through heckling. It'll be positive heckling.
Okay, good. Yeah, maybe we can record it and put it on Patreon.
Yeah,
for
it'll
the
be like
people
that
to
one
laugh at.
family at graduation that like brings the bullhorn when you're not supposed to bring the bullhorn. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my friends, his parents showed up to our high school graduation and he was very shy. And they had a huge like hardboard like posters of just his face. There were multiple of them. They're just like bouncing up and down throughout the ceremony.
Oh my gosh, I would have died. I didn't even want to go to my high school graduation. I cried the entire time because I like didn't want to be there.
It's awful. The day
The attention is a lot.
I doubled down on my attention on that day accidentally.
Why?
The day of, I could not get in to get my haircut done until the day of. So the morning of graduation, I went and I was like, I think I want something done with my colors. So she put in all these like blonde highlights that were awful. And I show up to graduation and everyone's like, oh my God, you're blonde now.
Oh no.
And I'm like, please no, please no. And then we're just standing there in the hallway waiting to go out and not everyone, that sounds so dramatic, but it just felt like a lot. And I was like, this was not my intent.
No, graduation's already a lot, and then you show up with a new hair color.
Yeah. I left it's a lot. I left halfway through my college graduation because I needed a break and I needed to go pee. I lied to the guy standing like by the door as security. I told him I was pregnant and that I needed to go pee immediately.
Oh my God, that's legendary.
I just for some reason thought that he wasn't going to let me go pee. And I was like, is he going to say no to a pregnant woman? No.
That's good thinking. Low-key, one of the reasons I was so excited to get into TFA was that it started in May and I technically didn't graduate college until June. So I left college a month early. I talked to my professors, everything was good, but I got to miss my college graduation and didn't feel pressure to go. I dreaded it for 4 years. I was like, I can't go to my college graduation, but I'm going to have to. And I didn't have to do it.
That feels perfect for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That checks out.
Love that for me.
Love it. Okay. Well, anyway, back to our learning journey. Enough about us, more about Marsha. Marsha was prone to making her own clothing, and
she was prone to making her own clothing.
What I'm trying to say is that Marsha made her own clothing. She was fucking talented. She had a tall, thin figure, and she would often dress in long, flowing robes, shiny dresses accented with red plastic high heels, and bright, colorful wigs. She would also dress to display intersectionality in gender and gender identity by wearing her wigs, makeup, and colorful shirts paired with more masculine pants and parkas. There's also some footage of Marsha performing full-on show drag. Most of her performances were with groups from more of the grassroots side of things, more small scale. She performed with the Hot Peaches from 1972 until the 1990s. The Coquettes. Love that so much.
Incredible.
The Angels of Light. And Marsha was even photographed by Andy Warhol in a series called Ladies and Gentlemen. It focused on drag queens and transsexual women, mainly of color. And at first I thought this was spectacular, but the more I read into it, the more I found out that Andy Warhol just kind of brushed Marsha off.
Really? Was it kind of like exploitative? Like he just like took the pictures for his own gain and didn't?
I think so. I think it's something that interested him from afar, that he wanted to exploit it, but not get too close.
Right.
Because Marsha had just such a flamboyant and expressive and joyful personality, but from what I can tell, he just brushed her off. He was not taken with her at all. And I find that just so hard to believe. Mm-hmm. So there was that. But there are pictures of her like posing so cutely next to her portrait by Andy Warhol. So she seemed pretty happy about it. In 1990, Marsha performed with the Hot Peaches in London while raising awareness for AIDS. And despite Marsha's bright personality and her success with these drag performances, life was and still is tough for people in the transgender community. There was a lot of violence from the police, the general population, and even gay activists, especially white gay men at the time. Their acceptance for anything outside the heteronormative agenda really stopped with themselves. And the general message that they were portraying was that transgender people were trying to take away from their movement. So that was a whole other thing that Marsha and her friends were fighting during this time. In 1950, I'm backtracking a little bit to kind of set the scene for this next part. In 1950, New York State downgraded sodomy from a felony to a misdemeanor. Still not right, still not just, still
Jesus
fucked up.
Christ.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Violence towards people living outside the sexual mainstream was just running rampant in the 60s, 70s, even until now. It's just, it's unbelievable.
It truly is.
I wish I had more words.
Yeah, it's outside of the realm of like explaining or understanding. It's just pure bigoted hatred, I guess. I can't wrap my mind around like what compels people to behave.
It's hatred fueled by not knowing, ignorance, not wanting to know. Same-sex dancing was outlawed in public. Bars and restaurants were not allowed to serve gay people alcohol. People who cross-dressed could be charged with sexual deviancy.
Oh my God.
In the early morning of June 28th, 1969, the police raided the Stonewall Inn. If you don't know more about this, do some research. Yeah. I have a great podcast recommendation. You're Wrong About podcast did a phenomenal episode on Stonewall. Michael over there, he's one of the co-hosts. He talks all about Stonewall and he goes into way more detail than I'm going to here, just because I want this lesson to be about Marsha. But in short, if you don't know about Stonewall, the Stonewall was a gay bar, and police are bastards, really. So you get a gay bar plus police equals violence. Unfortunately, police raids at the time in gay bars and restaurants, really anything going on outside of the norm, if you will, they would raid, they would attack and arrest these people. So they went into Stonewall, raided the place, and that was terrible. But it did result in a pivotal movement in the LGBTQIA plus rights movement, because the events at Stonewall caused an uprising. It brought more attention to gay rights. Like, the police literally set fucking the building on fire. There were what I quote as riots on several nights after that. I don't know if I would call them riots. People were just fighting for their rights. Yeah, their lives. For who they were and are. So folklore has formed around this uprising. One of the details being that Marsha threw the first brick or the first shot glass at this Stonewall uprising, and that unleashed everything. But Marsha says that she never did. She never did that. She was not there for when it started. She did get there after she heard it started, but several accounts do cite that on the second night of the uprising, that Marsha climbed up a light pole with a sack of bricks and dropped it on a police car.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
So
get him.
I can get behind that. Break his fucking windshield.
Yeah,
do whatever
it's
you
a
need
fucking
to do.
car. Destroy that shit.
Right. So I like that a lot. She's like, I don't know, I wasn't there like immediately the first night, but I may have fucked around on a light pole. Like, who knows?
Right. I may have like scaled a light pole like a coconut tree on Survivor and fucking dropped those bricks down on a pig.
I got that coconut milk, baby.
I got it.
After Stonewall, Marsha joined the Gay Liberation Front and was a part of the Gay Liberation Front's Drag Queen Caucus. Marsha also marched in the first Gay Rights Parade, which started in 1970. Before they were called Gay Pride rallies, parades, they were called the Christopher Street Liberation Day. Marsha, along with her friend Sylvia Rivera, founded the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries. Again, I want to cite that transvestite can be offensive. It is not the term I would use now, but that is what this place was founded as. And the acronym for it is STAR, S-T-A-R. STAR was one of the country's first, if not the very first, place to create a safe space for young transgender people. They gave them housing, a safe place to exist. They gave them clothing, something that could reflect who they were inside. They gave them food, something to nourish their bodies. Marsha and Sylvia paid for rent for this place themselves, using the money they made as sex workers.
Wow.
In 1973, Marsha and Sylvia were banned from the Gay Rights Parade because they weren't gonna allow drag queens because their involvement were giving them a bad name. So Marsha and Sylvia were like, okay, we're just fine, we'll go to the back. We'll
Bet.
fucking go to the back. And then they're like, fuck you. And they marched through the crowd all the way to the front of the parade. Like you do when you're an activist and you're not going to let yourself be put down by others.
Yeah, absolutely not.
As someone who is HIV positive herself, Marsha was a respected organizer and marshal with the activist group AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. Also, the acronym is ACT UP. This is a group that worked towards and is working towards ending the AIDS epidemic with medical research, direct action, treatment, advocacy, and policy change.
I love when a name of something like that makes sense and the acronym is on point.
Right. They're killing it.
Yeah.
Like they're doing 100% more than the government was at the time.
Right. But like ACT UP, it's a great acronym.
It is.
And it makes sense. Like sometimes I feel like foundations will like craft their name after the acronym they want. But in this case, they both work.
Yeah, they nailed it.
Yeah, they nailed it in every respect.
They knew what they were doing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Act up, get right, get with the AIDS Coalition to unleash power. So she was doing a lot of things. And during a lot of this time, Marsha experienced houselessness for much of her life. She was engaging in survival sex. She spoke of her first mental breakdown in 1970. It's cited that Marsha would sometimes walk down Christopher Street naked. She had been committed to several hospitals, sometimes months at a time, being treated with antipsychotic medication, mainly used to treat symptoms of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And after these stays in the hospital, Bellevue, for example, is one of the largest hospitals in the entire country. Upon her return, the medication would eventually wear off and things would go back to Marsha's normal. On one really cold night in 1980, a friend of Marsha's, Randy Wicker, was like, hey, it's really cold. Like, you should just come stay in my apartment for tonight. And she was like, yeah, heat sounds great to me. And she ended up staying there for the next 12 years.
Wow.
Until she died, actually. So they were really close, Randy and Marsha were. But in 1992, after missing for 6 days, her body was found and pulled from the Hudson River. The police ruled her death as a suicide. She was 46 years old, but none of her friends believed it to be true. Her roommate, Randy, hypothesized that, if she did go into the river on her own, it could have been a hallucination, or she could have been jumping to escape someone harassing her. But there's no way she committed suicide. For all the hope she had for the world and for her people, that couldn't have been it. Despite her battles with mental health, none of her friends thought that she was in a suicidal mindset. The police refused to take a closer look purely because she was transgender, she was gay. We don't know the exact perfect terms.
Right.
But she was not the norm at the time. They refused to take a closer look, even though she had a large bruise on the back of her neck. Ugh. Marsha was cremated after a funeral in a local church. Her friends spread her ashes in the Hudson River, and eventually, in 2012, they agreed to open Marsha's case after several petitions and requests, but it was too little, too late. Her cause of death was really just changed from suicide to undetermined. So, in closing, Marsha P. Johnson is really remembered for her joy for life, her tenacious activism. She was not afraid to be who she was and really be the voice for others who maybe weren't who they were yet. And as she once said, as long as gay people don't have their rights all across America, there is no reason for celebration. There are many tributes to Marsha P. Johnson. For example, the Marsha P. Johnson Institute was founded in 2019 to elevate, support, and nourish the voices of Black transgender people. And I would just like to end on one of the quotes. She declared in an interview in 1972 for a book that to see gay people liberated and free and to have equal rights that other people have in America, with her gay brothers and sisters out of jail again, this was her goal. She added, in a reference to the political politics of the time, "We believe in picking up the gun, starting a revolution if necessary."
Yes.
She was going to fight to the very end. She knew who she was. She felt like she had the power, whether she had to relinquish it or not, to really pave a path, I feel like. And like I said, I'm so mad I didn't learn about Marsha P. Johnson and her peers in school. But I hope that this can be the first step, or a step of many, I'm sure, with our listeners to getting a broader education. So if you need some help or need to talk to someone, Trans Lifeline in the US, their number is 877-565-8860. And my sources are marshap.org, grayartgallery.nyu.edu, glsen.org, yarmulkepride.org, and the Wikipedia for Marsha P. Johnson and Stonewall. That is my very brief learning journey about Marsha P. Johnson. I highly encourage you all to do more research because there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I will be. And thank you so much for doing that lesson. I think you did an amazing job.
Thank you to you too. Happy 1 year.
Happy freaking year. That was the perfect lesson, I think, to wrap up our year on.
I think so too. You know, we're able to get down and weird with it, but we're concerned with the, like, you know, the more important pressing things in life. We can do both.
Yeah, we can do both. We just ended up in like a podcast article and we were under like the weird column for podcasts. And that is, we do a lot of weird stuff, but of course, like mixed in with that, we also want to cover the things that are important. And at the end of the day, education is important to us, and it's important to highlight topics like that. And I'm glad that we got to.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I am too. Cheers to that.
Cheers, and cheers to Marsha P. Johnson.
And cheers to the Bermuda Triangle.
Cheers. Well, cheers to this 1 year. Thank you all so much for experiencing this with us. It has been a huge learning curve. I know we can tell a clear difference from our early episodes to the episodes now. So we really, really thank you guys for riding with us all this way. Like it means the absolute world to us. This is something we do because we love it, and it makes it so much more important that we can share it with people who care. So thank you.
Yes, our hearts go out to you, and we wouldn't want it any other way. I hope you have found a place here with Night Classy.
Yes, thank you, and stay classy.
Stay trashy.
Stay trashy, stay drunk, stay learning, stay educated. And thank you again. If you liked this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. Visit our social medias, maybe even our Patreon, and most importantly, tell a friend. We love you. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.